Hello, everyone. As I said, my name is Senior Consultant Michelle Schaefer, and I want to thank you so much for taking time out on your Sunday afternoon. I know it was a beautiful, well, not so beautiful day here in Dallas. It was warm, but the sun wasn't out, but that was okay. It's still a beautiful day. And so, again, I wanted to thank you for taking time out on your Sunday evening and joining us. We believe that it's vitally important to prepare yourself for your upcoming Ambit week. And we think that this call is the silver bullet for your business to have structure in your week where you spend 30 to 40 minutes a day doing the simple things you need to do. So hopefully you have your top 10 names ready, your calendars open, a pen and a piece of paper handy so you can prepare your week right along with us. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce our host if you're not familiar with this gentleman. His name is Mr. Richard Laidler. He's an executive consultant in our business. He is a businessman in his own right. He has several Dickey's barbecue restaurants. He is a musician. He has a music box company. He is very well-versed in our Ambit business as well as outside businesses as well. He's brought us the 3x4 in this fantastic purge call, which is changing people's businesses drastically. And without further ado, I would like to introduce my mentor and dear friend, Mr. Richard Laidler.
Hello, my lovely. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Fantastic. Thanks for bringing everybody on the call this afternoon or this evening. I really appreciate it. And welcome, everybody, to the Sunday Purge Call. Thank you very much for taking an hour out of your time to join us on the call. As Michelle said, we believe that this call represents probably the most important hour of your week. Because if you prepare your week, then your week goes well. And if you don't prepare it, then usually you're going to start your week with, I really need to get something going with my Ambit business. And you hope to find spare time in your busy week. But you all know that we're all busy. And the things that we have accountability to, like the kids, school and work and all of this type of thing, gets in the way. And it's not because we're lazy. It's not because we don't want to make our Ambit business work. We just allow it not to come into our week, not to be part of our week. And so we believe that just structuring your week at the beginning of the week is what's going to set you up for the week. I don't care how good an inviter you are. I don't care how good a presenter you are, how good a closer you are, because obviously people come into the business at different levels and different skill levels. When you first get started, maybe you're not as good as when you've been in the business for a little while. But that doesn't matter. You're going to learn those skills as you go along. And if you follow a process that we do in the Purge Call, you're going to learn those skills. The most important thing is that you show up. It's like at your job or at school or whatever. If you don't show up, you can't be successful. If you do show up, then you actually don't have to be a rock star. You just have to turn up. Just go to math, go to English, go to physics, go to chemistry, go to biology, and you'll graduate school. Turn up to your job, do what you're supposed to do, answer the phone, make the call, go to the meeting, make the boss a coffee, do your sales reports, and you get paid. You know, it's as simple as that. It's nothing magical to it, and it's exactly the same in our business. People always talk about finding the diamonds in the rough, finding those real go-getters, those something magical about them. And there certainly are those folks out there. They're probably about 2% of the folks out there that are just rock stars. But the rest of us are not like that. I'm not that guy. The only thing I've got going for me is an English accent, and that helps a little bit every now and again. But other than that, I'm no rock star. I just do what I need to do each and every day. And I do the same thing that you guys do. On this Purge Call that I do, I promise you I pull the top 10 names down and do my thing. So welcome to the call, and congratulate yourself for taking the time out to prepare your week. So thank you very much for getting on the call to do that. Now, the thing is, I am going to be, I mentioned last week on the call, I'm going to be slightly changing the format to give us more time to work on the written invites. I'm actually going to, the beginning of the call, because we have so many new folks that get on this call all the time, and I know we've got a lot of new folks, especially for those who were at our Ambit training yesterday, who have come on the call. And I kind of go through the process of what we do, and sometimes that can take up a little bit of time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a little video. It takes some time to do, and I haven't managed to do it yet. I've had a busy week preparing for the training and stuff, where I'm just going to kind of just basically go through what the Purge Call is all about, so people can watch that before the call and then know what it's all about. But I don't have that yet, so I'm going to give you a very quick, as quick as I can, overview of what we do on this call, to make sure that I help my consultant who's on the line with me, as well as all of you folks out there who are listening in, prepare your week. Again, if you prepare your week, you will have success. And it basically revolves around your written list. And again, at my trainings, I always talk about, that sounds so boring, the written list. But it represents more than just a list of names. What it does is it represents the foundation for the structure. It gives you something that you do every day around which you can be doing your other Ambit stuff as well. So we need everybody on the call to have got a written list together, whether it's 20 names, 30 names, 50 names, 100 names, or whatever it is. It's the people you want to show the business to, not people you want to ask to join the business. We don't do that. It's not appropriate. If I open another restaurant, I invite my friends. Hey, come try my restaurant out, try the food, and go and tell your friends. And I'd love to, and you want to come along and you want to support. And that's exactly what we do in this business. We just invite people to come and take a look. We certainly don't, try to convince people to join. So it's your written list of people you want to show the business to. And then what we do is we score those people. We sort them so that we just get a little bit of order as to who we're going to call first. We have something called the ERICA system, ERICA, and that is a means of being able to score each of the people in your written list. So that an E stands for entrepreneurial. How entrepreneurial they are stands for how much resources they have. I for influence, C for city, and A for attitude. Hence that spells ERICA. And I score them from 1 to 3 on it. Entrepreneurial, if they're the same as me, I'll give them a 2. If they're more than me, I'll give them a 3. The R, the I, the C is slightly different. If they're local, the C stands for city. If they're local, I'll give them a 3. If they're out of state, I'll give them a 1. And but there's a whole training on that on the EC Writers Facebook page. But it's a means of being able to sort your list. So how entrepreneurial they are. Do they have the resources to start the business, i.e. do they have time and money? Do they have influence over other folks? Do they know lots of people, or are they kind of shy and retiring and know just a handful of people? The city they're in and the attitude that they have, and that's what we call an ERICA system. And then what it does, I like people to do this on an Excel spreadsheet, because what that'll do, once you've then scored your list of people, it'll sort it for you, and the people with the highest score go to the top. And whilst I agree with, we had a great trainer in yesterday, Mike Obey, who was talking, when you first get started, talk to your friends and family, the people who are going to be sympathetic to what you're doing. I do agree with that, but on an ongoing basis, we get through our friends and family pretty quickly at the beginning, and most of us experience that that's not always a pleasant task, but it at least gives us someone to show the business to. But after that, then you do need to have a process of being able to make sure you're speaking to the better people first. Everyone's going to get a call, no matter what. Everyone's going to get a call. But if you've got people scoring 14 and 15 because they got a 4 or a 3 on each one of the ERICAs, ERICA got a score of 3 on each one, that would give them a 15, then they come to the top and we speak to those people first. So we've got our list, we've got them all sorted out. Then we have an accountability partner. I can't emphasize this more. You have a sponsor into the business. They may or may not be in the business, but if they're in the business, hold them up to be your accountability partner. If you can't find them, then reach up. Go to your senior, your regional, your senior, or even your executive. They'll be happy. If you're working this Purge call, this Purge system each week, they'll be happy to be your accountability partner. And that's someone who you're going to prepare your week with. At the moment, I'm going to be the accountability partner to our guest today, but you're going to need to find your own, someone to basically work or plan your week together with. And then what we've got is we've got our written list. They're all scored. We've got our accountability partner. And then what we're going to do is prepare your week. We have a written list that is all organized, and there's going to be obviously the top people at the top. And what we want to do on Sundays in the Purge system, what we do on Sunday, and Sunday's a good day because it's the beginning of the week for most people, is pull the top 10 names down. We don't pick them. We don't go through and think who's going to be the nicest to us. We just take the top 10 names. That's it. Then what we do with our accountability partner is we put together the perfect invites, and we're going to do that on this call. So you can copy what we do on our invites, or you can be inspired to write invites based on what we do. And we always write the invites down, not because we're going to necessarily use them as a script, but so that when we actually do the invites, we don't get sucked into being nervous and talking too much. A script written down, even if it's just annotations, bullet points, keeps you on task and keeps the invitation relevant and quick. And then what we're going to do is we've got our top 10 names and we've got invites. So we've got our week's work. Then what we're going to do is we're going to plan our week. We're going to take 2 of those names and we're going to make the 2 calls on Monday and hopefully 2 invites on Monday, 2 invites on Tuesday, 2 invites on Wednesday, all the way through the week. If we don't get responses, we go to the next name. We want to get 2 invites, not 2 calls, 2 invites. Okay, so in an ideal day, we'll maybe go, the first 2 people we speak to will get invite opportunities. But if we don't, then we just go through the list until we get to them. When we go back to the other names on future days during the week, hopefully that makes sense. And then what we're going to do at the end of the day is we are going to have an accountability call with our accountability partner. And we're just going to tell them how the calls went. I don't care if they went well. Hopefully they went well, but I don't care if they went well or not. The point is you've got an accountability partner who's waiting for you to call, so then you've at least made the calls. The most important thing is to get your calls done, okay? And then basically you've got your week planned out in front of you. You've got your 10 names, the invites written down, and you've got time allocated. As Michelle was saying, put time in your calendar when you're going to make a call. If you know you're going to have time on the way to work or time at lunchtime, or you get a break in the afternoon, in England we have a nice cup of tea, and it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you can make a call then, but put it in your calendar. Because if you don't, that's when those other things invade your time and you won't have time to do it. So that's it. Your week is then mapped out in front of you. You've got 2 calls, 2 invites, 2 calls, hopefully 2 invites a day, 1 accountability call a day, for the whole week. You've got it all there planned in front of you. How wonderful is that compared to a week of, I hope I'm going to get something for my Ambit business done. On top of that, make sure you get to a business presentation. We all need to get to 1 business presentation a week. Get on a team call during the week. We have a call on EC Riders. But you may have your own team call as well. If you want to join us on our call, we're not team specific. You can find those details on the EC Riders Facebook page. And that's our week. And this is what I'm going to do with my guest/victim today. We're going to go through her top 10 names. We're going to create some invites and write them down. And then what we're going to do, obviously, this call is being recorded, and I will make sure I get it posted up on Facebook. So for those of you who have team that haven't had a chance to listen to it, you can point them to the EC Riders Facebook page. They can listen to it on the way to work, on the way back from work, or whatever. But also all of the accountability calls that you're going to be doing with your accountability partners, I'm going to be doing it with my guest as well, and we're recording every one of those too. And I would say the best training is in those calls. I keep a track of watching, who's what on these calls, and the accountability calls sometimes are they're lower numbers. It's ironic because actually those calls are probably better than this call for training, because it's what actually happened with that actual person based on this actual invite. Really good stuff. So make sure you get on the EC Riders Facebook page to listen to those calls. And then next Sunday, what we're going to do is we're going to go through what happened this week, and we're going to debrief on the week, and we're going to purge our list. Where those people who said yes, we're going to plug into the system. Those who said maybe, we're going to get verified or validated at a business presentation or a 3-way call or whatever it is. And those who are no, we're going to put them on a drip list, and we're going to give them a call back, because no one's a no. They're only a no if you don't want them in your business because their attitude on Erica scored a 0. So we want to make sure that everybody is not relegated because they just said no. They usually mean not yet. And so we'll give them a call back in probably 3 months, 6 months, something like that. So that's your week. And that's what we're going to do on the call today, and that's what I'm going to do with my guest this week. So I'm now going to introduce this lady. Now, I don't know this lady. She was actually very kindly recommended to me by executive consultants Manny Salazar and Rosella Salazar, great friends of mine, who did a fantastic job, by the way, at the training yesterday. For those of you who weren't at the training yesterday, in the DFW area, you should have been there. It's one of the best trainings I've ever seen. Manny did a fantastic job. Rosella would have been up there as well, but she was feeling a little sick, had a bit of a throat thing going on, so she couldn't go up, but did a great job. But anyway, Manny suggested this particular person to come on as a guest this week for us to work with. So I don't know Shelly very well, but I'm certainly going to get to know her this week. We're certainly going to reach some vulnerable points, and she's a little nervous about the call, and that's totally understandable. Every single one of our victims is a little worried when they first get on the call, but it's fine. I will take care of you. I know people think I'm mean, but I'm actually quite lovely. But Manny suggested her because it was the first person who came to mind. She handles all the watch parties at the training centers down in Odessa. Sometimes she's not able to get to the live events because she's tied down there in Odessa, but she'll always do all of the watch parties. She's been in the business a little while, but then got it. She went to one of the trainings one time down in Odessa and got it, and she's plugged in and now killing it. She's an SC in the business, and I'm really excited to have her on the call. It's Senior Consultant Shelly Hostetter. I apologize. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. Shelly, are you there?
Yes. Yes, sir, I am.
Fantastic.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How do you pronounce your last name?
Hostetter.
Oh, I was pretty close. I wasn't too bad.
It was good.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I get all sorts of people pronouncing my last name. I get Laidler, Laidler, and all sorts of crazy stuff. So I'm used to people getting my last name wrong. But Shelly, thank you so much for getting on this call. As I say, I know you're a little nervous, but don't worry about a thing. All it is it's just you and me. And there may be some people on the call as well, but really it's just you and me. We're just having a chat. We'll be absolutely fine. But I would love to know a little bit more about you. I'd love for you to kind of, if you wouldn't mind, spending like about 30 seconds to a minute. Could you just tell me just a little bit about, who you are, if you're married, whether you have kids, what kind of age group you're in? I certainly don't want to be rude and ask a lady how old she is, but just so that people then, when they're listening to the call, they can relate to you and see where you are in life, as it were. So, Shelly, give us like 30 seconds to a minute. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Okay. I am married. Been married for 35 years. Have a daughter that's 34. Have a grandson, 3.5, that I keep quite often. He lives with me, so I'm kind of a full-time grandma. And I've bowled for 20 years. I now race cars and do Ambit, and I love it. And so I guess that's about it.
Pretty good
I'm
life.
mid-50s. Mid-50s. Fixing to be right in the middle.
Okay, cool. Well, let me tell you, the picture you sent me, you certainly do not look like you're in your 50s. So,
thank you.
Unless, hey, you're welcome. Unless that photograph's 20 years old or whatever.
No.
Well, actually, my son's also a racer. He races go-karts. So,
awesome.
You need to get to know. Yeah, he's a big fan of racing and stuff. But, well, fantastic. So, obviously, you got pretty strong Y in your grandson or granddaughter?
Yes. A grandson.
Grandson. So,
yes.
Why are you doing the Ambit business? Obviously, you're very fired up and you really want to build this thing. But what's your why? Why are you in it?
Because my husband and I have always had businesses that we don't have a 401k. We've never had a retirement plan because I was a hairdresser for 20 years. He builds race motors, stuff like that. So we really don't have any type of plan like that. And he is going to need a knee replacement. And so that's kind of my immediate why. And, of course, the long term would be my grandson because college and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I completely get it. We're about the same age. I'm 52, and that retirement thing, I've made money and stuff like that, but I've never really set something aside. I've never had that constant, like those folks who have a regular job and the 401k's building and blah 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 blah. I've never had that, and I've also, in the past I've made a lot and I've lost a lot, and I have this huge fear that I'm going to lose it again. So we have a very similar why like that. I completely understand. So, well, let's dive straight on in because we're at 20 after 8 right now. We've kind of given a quick overview of how the call works, and obviously learned a little bit about yourself. And I know you've got a lot of fans down in Odessa there on the call cheering for you right now. So you're going to be a big rock star when you next at the trainings or the business presentation down there. You'd be, oh my God, are you Shelly? Are you Shelly? Are you Shelly? You'd be like, yeah. I'm PURGE Call Shelly.
Yeah. I'll have to get a shirt made.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I should do. I should get some alumni shirts done. I should definitely do that. So let's dive straight on in. We've got, as I say, it's 20 after 8. I want to get right on in there and get as many invites prepared as we can. If we can't get them all done on the call right now, we'll do the other ones on the accountability calls. So that's an additional incentive for those folks listening in to make sure they listen to the accountability calls that we're going to record. But if you could, to begin with, just give me the top 10 names that you have. Only the first name, please, not first and last, because otherwise some people on the call say, hey, I know Joe whatever, and think that you have the same person.
Do you want ones that I've already talked to, or just ones that I haven't really shown to?
What I want to talk to people who you want to invite to look at the business, who have not necessarily looked at the business before, or have looked at it before, but it was a long time ago, and you want to show them again.
Okay. The first one is Joe. He owns an insurance agency.
Hold on one second, Shelly. Just give me the names first. We're going to go through the 10 names.
Okay.
And then
Joe,
we'll go back on,
Steve, Jennifer, Rhonda, Avelia.
How do you spell
Sandy,
that? How do you spell that?
Avelia.
Say that again?
Avelia.
Abelia. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sandy.
Yep.
Ken. Jimmy. Rhonda. And Landon.
So do we have two Wonders?
No, just one. Oh, yeah, we do.
Okay.
Rhonda R and Rhonda J. Sorry.
Oh, okay, got it. So we got, and that's a Sandy. Okay, got it. All right. Okay, let's start off then with, and we're going to go in that order. Let's start straight away with Joe. Tell me a little bit about Joe. How old is he, first of all?
He's probably 60 or early 60s. He owns an insurance agency. I've cut his hair. I used to cut his hair for years. Know him and his wife. He's very entrepreneurial. He is also, I think he does money management stuff also with people.
Okay.
So he does quite a bit.
All right. Well, let's. Okay, cool. Well, this is a good, relatively simple one to get started on. Now, I know, Shelly, you're relatively new to the Purge call, so I'm going to kind of give you and everybody who's listening in kind of the guidelines to create an invite. Now, there's some very simple invites. Like if I was calling my son to look at the business, I'd say, hey Sam, get by a computer. I want you to look at this video. So there are very simple invites, and I certainly don't want to overcomplicate things. But for people who are usually on people's written list, what we do is we have kind of 5 guidelines to build an invite. So those of you who are listening in right now, if you've got a pen and paper, just write these 5 guidelines down, and they're pretty simple to follow, and they are only guidelines. The first one is to be in a hurry. With myself, I'd be saying, hey, listen, I'm just about to get on a conference call, and that's it. So I'm just about to go pick the kids up. I've just, like my last guy was a captain on an airplane. I'm just about to get on the plane. Whatever it happens to be that's going to keep you in a hurry, because that will protect you down the line from getting dragged into a presentation. When someone says, oh, well, what is it? You're always going to get that, what is it? And you say, well, listen, I've just got to get on my conference call, which is why I wanted to make an appointment with you. So that's always a good protection. So number 1, be in a hurry. Okay, number 2 is write down the word why, because it's going to be your why or their why or both. If you happen to know their why, if you happen to know them, then you can talk about the why. Like, for example, with myself, I've got a son who's in college right now. Hey, listen, Shelly, last time, we're friends, my son. I'd say, Shelly, listen, I'm just about to get on a conference call, but I've been meaning to give you a call. Max is going to college next year. Well, it's really important that I make sure he goes there without coming out with any college debt. And so I talk about my why there. If you then had, say, for example, a daughter or a son around the same age, I might then follow up with your why and say, and I know you've got Susie who's going to college in a couple of years, and obviously you're going to make sure she doesn't have college debt as well. So there's my why and your why. We can use one or the other. So if we know each other, I could probably relate my why to you. So be in a hurry, then your why, and then the third thing is having a hook, having something in there that you're really excited about. So again, my invite when I'm talking about Max, I'd say, hey, Shelly, listen, I've got to get on a conference call, but I've been meaning to give you a call because, Max is going to be going to college next year. Well, I've got to make sure that he comes out of college without college debt. And I know you've got the same issue with Susie in a couple of years when she goes to college. Well, I've just got a business project started, which I'm really excited about and doing really well in the DFW area. So there's a hook. It can be whatever hook you want, but that's a nice simple one. I just started a new business project that's doing really, really well for me in the DFW area. And it's going to address all of my issues with regard to Max's college funds. In fact, not only that, but it's also going to supplement all of my retirement as well. So there's a real hook in there. We're really salting those oats. So in a hurry, then the why, then there's the hook, and then there's a takeaway, which is, listen, Shelly, I don't know if it's going to be your thing, and I completely understand that. Your friendship with me is more important than any kind of business project, but we both have kids going into college, and I thought you'd be interested to hear about this. So a nice, strong takeaway. That's going to protect you for a couple of reasons. First of all, if I was inviting you, Shelly, you'd feel a little bit more relaxed. I'd say, it may or may not be your thing, and that's fine. Okay, but also what it's going to do down the line, for those of you, and I'm including myself here, who do not like rejection, it actually helps you get the power back. If someone says no to you, and sometimes people say no pretty aggressively, we've all had those people who've been not very nice about it. If you've said, listen, it may or may not be your cup of tea, when they have had a look at the business and reject you either nicely or meanly, you can say, well, if you remember rightly, when we first spoke, I said it's not for everybody, and that's perfectly fine. And so it's a great way of being able to, boom, take the power back. And bearing in mind that rejection is the second biggest thing that takes people out of this business. If you can get any of that power back when someone rejects you, then that's a good thing. So number one, be in a hurry. Number two, your why or their why. Number three, have a nice hook. You're excited about it. Number four, a nice big takeaway so they feel really comfortable about the whole thing. And number five is to be very, very intentional on setting a date. And this was something that National Consultant Mike Obey talked about a lot yesterday, and I really could relate to this. He's very definite about setting times. And I actually thought that this was going to be the smallest amount of training that I was going to have to do with the people on this call, but it's actually probably the largest. People use words like, let's see if we can get together sometime this weekend. Or, how would you have time to get together for, I want to lose that type of language. We can't do that because it's not good posture. What I want is, so I would go through the invite. Hey, it may or may not be your cup of tea, but what are you doing for coffee on Friday? About 5 o'clock. I know there's a Starbucks just around the corner from you. I could be, very definite. Or, listen, I know you're going to be busy over the weekend, but I know you finish church like around 12:30 on Sunday. Let's meet in the bookstore at church. They're very positive, very definite, very intentional about setting the time. So they're the 5 guidelines: being in a hurry, the whys, the hook, which is the excitement, the takeaway, and an intentional date. Now, there is one more rule that overrides all the other rules, which is to be yourself. It's more important that you're yourself than necessarily sticking rigidly to those rules. Because, again, if I called my son and followed all of those rules, he'd be, Dad, this is me. It's your son, So make sure you're yourself over and above all of that. Yeah. So now we've got our 5 guidelines. Let's have a look at Joe. Joe's in his 60s, so he's going to have probably a very similar why to you. Yeah. I would imagine the way you talk about him, it sounds like you admire him. You say he's entrepreneurial and this type of thing. Did you say he was married, by the way?
Yes, he is.
And so he's working. Is his wife working?
I don't think she works anymore. No.
Okay. So what I would do in this, following exactly those 5 guidelines, I would say, hey, Joe, listen, I'm in a little bit of a hurry right now. I don't know what you do to be in a hurry, Shelly, but find your thing, whatever you're going to do, because, you may have a different thing. But, Joe, listen, I'm just about to get on a conference call. I'm just about to go into a meeting, but I've been meaning to give you a call, and then I would address, so that's being in a hurry. Then I would address your why and say, look, Joe, how long have you known Joe, by the way?
Oh, gosh, probably 10 years.
Okay. So he knows you well. And, okay. I would say, hey, listen, Joe, you know that my husband and I were in our 50s. We've always been entrepreneurial, very much like you. But we've had a few concerns about our retirement and making sure we had enough money put aside for our retirement. Well, we got a new business project started that's going really, really well for us, and is actually going to fully fund all of our retirement until the good Lord takes us. And I really would love you to take a look at it for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it actually may be, you're very entrepreneurial, it may be something you want to do with us. But even if not, and it's not everybody's cup of tea, I'd love you to take a look at it to see if you could maybe refer, we need to network in our business, maybe refer some people to us. But what are you doing on Friday around 5 o'clock? Or I know you finished fairly early being in insurance business. What are you doing around 5 o'clock on Friday? Let's get together for some coffee so I can show you what I'm doing.
Okay.
So that's how I would go. So we were in a hurry. We talked about your why. And we didn't actually talk about his why. We might want to include that. So listen, Joe, I'm a little bit of a hurry. Well, what's your husband's name, Shelly?
Kenny.
Kenny, as in Kenny.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say, hey, Joe, listen, I'm in a little bit of a hurry. Just got to get on a conference call or whatever it is. But, Kenny and I, obviously we're in our mid-50s now, and we've got retirement just around the corner. And we're a little, we want to make sure that we've got all of our retirement in place. And I know that you and whatever his wife's name is, has got a couple of years on us as well. And I don't know if you're considering this as well. So there's your why and his why. But I started a business project to make sure that we get all of our retirement fully funded. And I'm really excited. We've got a business project going right now, which is working really well for us in the DFW area that's going to see us through, which we're really excited about. Listen, Joe, I'm not sure if it's going to be your cup of tea, but I'd like you to take a look at it for a couple of reasons. First of all, it may be something you'd like to do with us. But secondly, if not, and there's another takeaway, I really love the takeaways, then you may be able to introduce us to some of your friends and or introduce us to people who this may be something that's relevant for. What are you doing for coffee on Friday? I'd love to show you what I'm doing.
Okay.
So that's a lot to write down, Shelly. I know, I understand that, and I'm going to make sure I get this recording up for you and everybody on the call as quickly as possible so that you're able to get an invitation put together for Joe. Because what I want you to do, Shelly, is write the invitation down.
Okay.
Not because I want you to have a script. I don't want you to sit there and necessarily look like you're reading it, but because very often when people make invites, and I think you're fine. You're a senior in the business and you're very well-rounded. You're very eloquent. But some people, if they're a little bit nervous to make an invite, they talk too much, and they get off subject and get taken off subject really quickly. Especially if he comes back and he starts talking about, about our retirement and blah, blah, and you go off subject. If you haven't got an invite written down, you can be taken off track really easily. Whereas if you do have the invite written down, then no matter what happens, you can come back to your script.
Right.
So really important. So everybody on the call, I want you writing your invites down. It's very comforting when you're just about to make the call. It's, sometimes when that phone's heavy enough to pick it up and make the call, but if you've got the script there ready to go, it makes it a lot easier and it stops you wandering all over the place. Does that make sense to you, Shelly?
Yes, I have problems with that because I'm really confident getting customers, but I'm really not really that confident getting consultants. So
no, that's very
offering the business, I guess. So it's
yeah. Well, let me ask you. Let's get kind of a little bit vulnerable here, if you don't mind, Shelly. Why do you have a problem offering the business?
I don't know. I don't know whether I feel like I'm asking them to do something for me, or I guess that's how I feel, like I'm asking them to do something for me.
You know what? I completely get that. Well, so let's qualify one thing. You absolutely believe that Ambit is a great business opportunity, right?
Oh, yes.
Right. So there's no doubt there. That's number one.
Yes.
Everybody on the call, if any one of you doubt that, you need to address that, because if you don't believe in it, then the people you're talking to are not going to believe in it. But that's not what Shelly's talking about, and I completely get what you're talking about here, Shelly, Because when I first started, I love the Ambit opportunity, and now I've been in it for 7 years. I'm financially free from the business. I'm not rich yet, but I'm financially free. All my bills are paid. I know this business works. I know I've got something that when I'm talking to someone, that I've got something that can really help someone. And so when I'm inviting someone, I am not thinking about me in any way. When I'm inviting, like, for example, there's a gentleman on the call that I brought into the business last week. Dennis is on the call. I knew when I invited into the business, I was offering him something, him and his wife, something that could save him. Not only from the amount of time he needed, but all the money. He's early 60s. He's got a young, a wife who's a little younger than him. But, he doesn't have enough savings, just like in your particular case. Mm-hmm. And when I'm inviting him, I know I've got something that's helping him out. It's nothing to do with me. It's nothing to do with me making money out of Dennis joining the business. And you're going to have to address that because if you have that in your mind, that's going to come across in your invite.
Okay.
You need to know, for example, with Joe, he's in his 60s. Married, and he's got to make sure he has his retirement sorted out as well. And so when you're offering Joe the business, you're offering him help. You're not inviting him to join something so you can make some commission. That's a sideline, but you'll only make anything if he does. He's got to make the money first.
Wow.
So maybe you should sit with Manny or Rosella or whatever, or with just kind of address it with yourself. That you've got to get to the situation where you're offering help, and this is really important. I know a lot of you on the call will have this same concern, the same worry, that I find it hard to offer people a business, and you've got to ask yourself why. And I know I'm spending time on one call and one invite here, but this is important. And we will get through all the invites during the week. So we've got plenty of time to do this. But this is important. We must spend time on this. If you have a problem inviting, you must find out why. Is it because you don't believe in Ambit? If that is the case, that's okay. Face it. Get with your upline and watch some Ambit keynote speeches from Chris and Jerry. Have a look at the last simulcast videos and look at the opportunities in Japan and understand this truly is absolutely the best opportunity I personally believe in the world. I've made 7 figures before in other businesses, in traditional businesses, and I hand on heart, this is by far the best business I've ever had in my armory of businesses. And I truly believe that. And you guys must believe that too. But then, so that's believing in the business. Now you need to get over this issue that if you're offering someone the business, it's not about you making a sale. You're going to have to get to a situation, Shelly, where you're feeling that you're not making a sale, but you're offering Joe some help to have something that's going to supplement his retirement or fill his retirement, because who knows, he's in insurance, so hopefully he's prepared, but I know plenty of insurance people who've not prepared for their retirement. So does that make any sense? Do you have any thoughts on that, Shelly?
Yeah. No, I think what part of it is that I'm not really making a lot of money with it yet. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of that fear of they're going to ask me, well, how much do you make out of it? So it's kind of that. What?
This is awesome. This is fantastic. I'm glad this is coming up because I hear this a lot. This is very often, some people will come back to you and say, well, how much are you making? And I'll say, when someone asks me that, I'll say, well, Ambit's now doing a revenue of $1.5 billion in revenue. That's my initial response when someone says to me, how much are you making? Because it's irrelevant how much I'm making. It's nothing. There are people who are making millions in this business, and there are people who are making $100 in a month in this business. And it's nothing to do. What I make is nothing to do with what you're going to make. Now, sometimes that's enough. It's a little deflection. I understand that, but it's actually more relevant than what you're making. So first of all, when someone says to me, so you're not making much money in the business so far. Well, if you're making $100 a month, I'm not sure what it is, but I think you have to have I'm not sure. I think it's about $25,000 or $30,000 in the bank. I think to make $100 in residual income.
Right.
So that's pretty good. $100 in residual income every month. Sure, it's not paying everybody's bills, but it's money you haven't worked for. We've all made more money than that, but not necessarily for no work. I would say that 99% of people in this country do not make $100 in residual income.
No.
So now that doesn't 100% answer your question. So so now here's the thing. I own Dickey's barbecue restaurants. When I started a Dickey's barbecue restaurant, I don't go to other Dickey's barbecue restaurants and ask them how much they're making, because I look at it from a business owner standpoint. When you have someone who's asking you how much money you're making from it, they are giving you an employee mentality response. And sometimes what I'll do, very respectfully, if someone keeps pushing, I'll say, well, look, first of all, we're not allowed to say what we're making in our business. You'll see it in our terms and conditions or our policies and procedures. We're not allowed to say what we're making because it can be seen as enticement. And so you can cover yourself with that. But also I'd say, well, look, I understand your question, but I would ask you to do one thing. First of all, Ambit's making $1.5 billion in revenue. But more importantly than that, you need to take off your employee hat and put on a business owner hat. How much I make, how much the next door neighbor makes is irrelevant. It's how much you feel you can make. Have a look at this magazine and then pull the magazine out and leaf through and say, here's Manny and Rosella Salazar. They are my upline in the business. And then talk, their whole stories there. Talk about, what Manny does for a living and what Rosella does and how this business has absolutely changed their life from being a regular, ordinary person. Of course, they're not ordinary. They're lovely. But you know what I'm saying? A regular, ordinary person. And show the stories in the magazines. If you don't have a story yet, borrow them from other folks.
Okay.
And if they're saying to you these same things, then they come to a business presentation, they've seen Manny and Rosella in the magazine, and then they're going to meet Manny and Rosella at the business presentation at your training center down there.
Okay.
So this is more, we don't have time to go into that in great depth on this particular call, but I would definitely get with Manny and Rosella on that.
Right.
Has that
that's good. I like it. Yes, I like the deal. I've never even thought about that, about saying I'm not allowed to say, because that could be an enticement. So, I mean, that's great.
Yeah, well, it's very much in your posture. I never get anybody asking me how much I make.
Oh, good.
Never, no one ever asks me how much I make in this business, and I don't know if it's anything to do with some kind of posture. But if work on that posture, work on your practice, work on nice, strong responses like, well, Ambit makes $1.5 billion in revenue, and actually start getting onto, and we're just moving into Japan, which has actually doubled our potential revenue, 80 million customers over there. And all of a sudden, we've gone off onto another subject and hopefully distracted it from them. But if they keep pushing, as I say, then you can maintain your posture and say, well, look, we're not allowed to say because of enticement, but also, with all due respect, you need to take off your employee hat and put a business owner hat on. No one who starts a business is going around asking other people what they're making in another business. It's just something in the network marketing thing.
That. Right.
Yes. But get with Manny and Rosella and practice it, and have a few phrases where you can come back out with a nice, strong, positive posture, and you'll overcome that. But it is something I know a lot of people on this call are worried about. There were a few ideas in there, and maybe what I'll do is I'll address that on one of our team calls as well. And if I do, I'll make sure I advertise that, and we can go into a little bit more detail on it. But there's an invite for Joe. Let's have a look at Steve.
Steve, know him very well. He races with me. He also owns he's a PTA, physical therapist, like assistant. He goes out and he has a home-based business that does that. He goes out to people's homes and visits them to do their physical therapy.
Is he busy?
He does all day. Yes.
So he's got a lot of clients and stuff like that. But how old is Steve?
He's probably 46 to 50, somewhere around there.
Okay. So I'm going to say late 40s. Okay. Married?
Yes. 2 grown boys.
Kids?
Yes.
Okay. Out of college?
One of them is almost out, and the other one's going in, or maybe in the first couple of years.
Just going into college.
Yes.
Well, one thing with Steve is absolutely trading time for money. If he's not doing physical therapy, then he is not making money.
Right.
That's the one thing about service-based businesses. Same with plumbers, same with carpenters, same with even doctors, same with dentists. If they're not actually dealing with someone at that particular time, then they're having issues with covering that. So you've known Steve for a while?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've probably known him for 15 years or so, at least.
Okay. I would go for a similar invite as with Joe.
Okay.
I'd be in a hurry. Hey, listen, Steve, I'm just about to do whatever you happen to do, Shelly.
Yeah, I've talked to him before.
You've talked to him about the business?
He was actually one of the first ones that I ever called. So it's been over a year.
Okay, perfect. In which case, it's a slightly different invite.
Okay.
I would, if it's someone that you invited before, then it's all about what's changed.
Okay.
We're going to talk about what's changed in Ambit, what's changed with your business, and what's changed with Steve. Let me ask you this: what did he say first time round? What was his response?
He really wasn't interested in the business. He said he was just too busy, and his wife did not want to change their electric, so they're not even a customer.
Okay, were they kind of passionately against it?
No, not really.
Okay. All right. Well, here's what we need to do is and you're good friends, so this is fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would talk about what's changed and say, Steve, listen, you don't need to be in a hurry because he knows it's Ambit. Okay, and he's not going to get you dragged. You're not going to get dragged in. Say, listen, Steve, I just wanted to give you a call as a follow up from actually about a year ago. Remember, I showed you the Ambit business. And he'll be saying yes, and he say, well, you say, well, listen, I'm still doing it, and it's going really well for me. I don't know what position you were, by the way, a year ago. What position were you in when you spoke to Steve first time round?
What do you mean?
Were you an MC, RC, or SC?
Oh, I was an MC. It was one of my first calls that I ever made.
Okay, great. So I would say, Steve, listen, I just wanted to give you a call as a follow-up to the conversation we had about a year ago with Ambit. It's become a serious business for me, and I try to be professional about the business. I know we're good friends, but I want to make sure that all my friends are kept up to date with what's going on in my business. I know it wasn't for you, and it still may not be for you, Steve, and that's fine. But I just want to kind of update you on what's going on. Because things, I know things are always changing. Listen, from a year ago, Ambit's now expanded into, and you can talk about all the expansions into Ohio and all the other states that we've been into. But more importantly than that, Steve, we've just gone international. Ambit's now at $1.5 billion in revenue, and we've just moved in. We've just got the ability to build the business over in Japan, and it's going to double our revenue within the next few years. So things are going incredibly there. But even more important than that, Steve, since I spoke to you, I promoted twice in the business. I was originally just right at the very beginning, and I probably wasn't very good, and I apologize for anything I messed up on back there. But I promoted twice in the business now, and I'm only 2 positions from the very top of the business, and it's literally transforming mine and Kenny's lives. We're going to have all of our retirement paid for now. And and the thing is I know you have always been very busy, Steve, but we're not that dissimilar in age. And one thing I do know is that everything changes in people's lives, and it's a year on from where you were a year ago. And the reason for calling was just to see if it made sense for you to take another look, to see if anything had changed in your life where something like this would make sense to you, because it's really making sense to Kenny and I. As I say, we've got our retirement all done. So it's a slightly different invite. It's all about what's changed. What's changed in Ambit, what's changed in you. That's obviously all fantastically good news.
Right.
And then what's changed in his life. The one thing I know that is nothing ever stays the same. If someone had asked me to join Ambit 2 years before I did, I would never have joined. First of all, I don't like network marketing companies, and I was making way too much money to think about something else. I was just, I was way too egotistical. I needed to calm down. And then when I was asked, it made perfect sense, and I joined immediately. And that may be the situation with Steve. But again, You've got to be ready for him to say exactly the same thing. No, nothing's changed.
Okay.
We have no interest. And that's fine.
Okay.
All you're doing is politely following up and letting him know about the change, and you never know, his time might have changed. But then one more thing to add on the end. If it's not for him, listen, Steve, what's really important is my business is growing like crazy, and we're looking for leaders. So if you know of anybody that something like this may be relevant, please let them know about what we're doing. So it's all about changing Ambit, changing you, changing him, and if not him, a referral. Okay?
Okay.
So again, listen back to this call and get an invite written down based on the change, and ask for a referral at the end. Again, a nice takeaway. Keep it gentle. Steve's your friend. You don't want to piss him off. Excuse my language, but we don't want to get, this is just about, hey, it's a year on. I promoted twice. You need to, this is going great. And again, you'll hear many of the leaders talk about the fact that they were asked 2 or 3 times before they actually said yes to the business. Okay.
Me too.
So, you're right. Exactly. Yeah. So we're at 8:51, and if let's see if we can get one more invite for right now. The rest of the invites are the accountability calls.
The next 2 I have are the same. They're previous. The next one down is Avilia. She is actually Spanish. Mm-hmm. She speaks limited English. I kind of want to get her. She lives. She needs to be home like at 5 to cook supper and do all that kind of stuff. So we have a window of opportunity like during the day with her. Mm-hmm. But she's been in several companies, and I know that she would just be good at it because she's been in several network marketing companies and she always does well at them. So,
have you shown her before? Did you say?
I've talked to her about looking at it. She hasn't looked at it yet, really. She was in another network marketing business with me, which was a skincare line, and so that's how I know her.
Does she speak Spanish well enough for her to understand you if you invited her?
Oh yeah.
She knows English well enough. I can't remember if I said English or Spanish. She knows English well enough. Okay. Okay. Well, in which case it's I would be pretty direct with someone like her. Okay. I would just be direct and ask her to join you in business because you're already in business before. So I'd be. She knows it's Ambit, right?
Yes.
Right. I still would be in a hurry, just because you want to get together with her. So I'd be like, Abelia, listen, I'm just about to go and get on a conference call, but I've been meaning to follow up with you because we've talked before about a business that I'm working with, but about Ambit Energy. But I wanted to talk to you again because this business is going really, really well for us, and Kenny and I are going to have all of our retirement covered by this business. And I really wanted to talk to you about it. I have to be honest with you, Abelia. I'd love you to do it with me. I've always admired the way you do what you do. I've always admired the way you build network marketing businesses. You're really good at it. And Ambit is just breaking all records. We're at $1.5 billion in revenue. We're just moving into Japan, into the international market. And I don't know where you're at in life, Abelia, but I'd love you to look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense. Listen, again, our friendship is more important than anything else, and if it's not your thing, that's perfectly fine. But what are you doing on Friday at 5 o'clock? Let's go grab a coffee at the Starbucks just around the corner from you, or earlier on if it's her. Let's go grab lunch on Friday and take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you. Again, Abelia, my friendship with you is more important than the business, but I'd love you to see what I'm doing. It's doing great. Going great guns for me and Kenny. As I say, we're going to get our retirement covered. I'd like you to see what we're doing. What are you doing on Friday at lunchtime?
Awesome.
So with her, I would be direct.
Very direct. Okay.
Because, she sounds like an absolute catch.
She's awesome.
She sounds fantastic. So when you're direct with someone, sometimes people are a little frightened about being direct, but it's actually extremely complimentary for someone to approach you that way. People have asked me to go into business with them on various projects with traditional deals, and it's a real compliment that someone feels that highly of you that they want to go in business with you. And so, for you to say to her, Abelia, be in a hurry, this business is working really well for you and Kenny. There's your why, and it's going to have your retirement filled. And the business is going great guns. And Abelia, the reason why I'm calling you, to be quite honest, I would love you to do it with me, and then compliment her on how you admire what she does, how she always is successful in these types of businesses.
Okay.
And then the takeaway, listen, Abelia, I understand it may or may not be your thing, but I want you to take a look. What are you doing on Friday at lunchtime? So we've got all 5 things in there.
Okay.
So again, go back, listen to the recording of the call, please. Get your invitation written down. But that one's going to take a little bit of posture. In fact, all of these are going to have a little bit of posture in it. So, Shelly, if you need to talk to me or to give Manny a call to talk about and just build your confidence and feel good about it, because sometimes we've got to kind of pump ourselves up a little bit. For me, I'll go grab a coffee. I talk enough as it is, so you can imagine what I'm like when I've had a coffee. But so that's the way I'd approach it. But get yourself. I say, if you need to give me a call first, fine. If not, call Manny or Rosella, whoever whoever you relate to most. But get some posture, especially with Abelia when you want to be direct with her. The reason why I want you to want to talk to you, Abelia, I want you to consider joining this business with me.
Okay.
Really nice, and that needs to be said with posture and confidence.
Hey, I'm excited.
Sound good? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, Shelly, we're at 8:56. We've got a few minutes left, but I'm not going to do another invite for right now. We're a little short.
That's right.
Sorry, we've only got 3 invites done, but there was some stuff in there that we really needed to address. And I think some people on this call will feel the same way, that we need to kind of address some of the psychological things, because if your mindset's not right, you're not going to be inviting right. So I'm glad we got to address those things. And we'll talk more about them during the week, by the way. Because I know when I was talking to Javier last week, his posture dramatically changed over 5 days, and we'll be able to do that together as we talk together during the week. So we're going to be doing accountability calls during the week. Okay, Shelly?
Okay. That is awesome.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Hey, no problem. I'll talk to you after the call about setting a time up when we can do it, and we'll record those conversations and post them on the EC Riders Facebook page. Okay. All right, Shelly, thanks so much for getting on the call tonight. Wasn't too scary, was it?
No, sir. It was great.
Kind of fun, right?
Yeah.
It's only because I'm lovely. I'm never mean.
Yeah.
I'm just lovely to you.
I was thinking that.
Oh, you say the sweetest things. It's just the English accent. I'm actually not very nice, but the English accent makes me sound great. All right, lovely. Well, thank you so much for getting on the call tonight. I'm really excited about getting on the accountability call tomorrow. So I'll get this posted tonight. Have a listen to the call, and let's see if we can get a couple of those invites done tomorrow. Okay. To Joe, Steve, and Abelia, or however what you want to do on that one, and then let's have our accountability call tomorrow night. Thanks so much for getting on the call, Shelly.
Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, guys. So for those of you still on the call, don't go away yet. I just want to make sure that all of you could relate to what we were talking about. I cannot emphasize more how much I feel the importance of structure in your business, how it truly is the silver bullet above everything else. All of the training that we had yesterday, for example, the DFW training we had here about inviting, presenting, about how to show the magazines, about how to do this, how to do that, none of it's relevant unless you show up. Unless you show up to work. And the only way to make sure you can show up to work in an Ambit business where you are your own boss, and it's very easy to give yourself time off, because you will, because of other things you've got to get done, is please get these things in your calendar. Please take the time to get your top 10 names down, create your invites, even if you only get 2 or 3 done tonight, so you got them for tomorrow, but allocate the time in your calendar to make your calls. Please do that, because otherwise your week will just go by and you'll look back at your week and think, I've done nothing. I got to a business presentation, or I got to this, but I didn't get it done. So please create structure in your business. This week I'm going to be doing accountability calls with Shelly every day, Monday through Friday. Every one of them will be posted on the Ambit Facebook page, on the EC Riders Facebook page. And next Sunday we'll be going through the list and going through it again, and we'll be purging the calls, and we'll talk more about that during the week. So please do call in and listen to the, get on the EC Riders Facebook page and listen to the accountability calls. But in the meantime, guys, get on the national call tonight. The special guest tonight is EC's Tim and Sonia Devine up in the Northeast up there. It's going to be on Brian's call. The number for that call is 712-770-4160. Again, 712-770-4160. The PIN number is 968-248#. Again, 968-248#. It's Brian McClure's call. It's the national call. Guests EC, Tim and Sonia Devine are just killing it up there in the Northeast. Wonderful to listen to them. They're great trainers. Okay, guys, thank you for sharing your Sunday with us. And I will see you on the accountability calls during the week. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of your Sunday night.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks, Richard, for your call.
I tagged in late, but I'm sure.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very informative. Very doable.
Great. I'm glad you enjoyed it.